Podcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
So I'm going to show. Hello, everybody. This is Mike Nardini and Michael Foster from Third Wave Business Systems. And on the line with us, we have Henry Willis from Support One. So, Henry, I'll let you take it from there.
Great. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Again, as Mike said, I'm Henry Willis with Support One, account executive. We're really excited to show you this tool, Versago. A lot of great things that has been happening and some clients using it that are really happy with it. Really expands some options for you to use Business One in some of the best ways. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the Third Wave team and we can hop right into it. Thanks again.
Thanks, Henry. Just so everybody knows, we'll be going through this webinar, and at the end, if there are any questions, we'd be happy to address them. But as you go along in the webinar, on the right-hand side of your GoToWebinar box, you'll have a questions option. So feel free to go in there and submit any questions you have along the way, and then at the end, we'll look to help get all those answered for you. So just to give you a little bit of background, Versago is the tool that we're going to be showing you today. But Third Wave ourselves, we've been around Business One. We've had experience with the software since 2004. This is one portal for any type of user, whether they're internal or external. So you're going to see a lot of different use cases, say for a sales rep or for a service technician. You may go into it using it for one purpose, but if you ended up using it for others, it is all inclusive. So this is one single tool that you can use for multiple different types of people and types of users. There wouldn't be any additional purchases from a license standpoint if you used it for multiple different types of people. It is going to be working with SAP Business One, which you guys are all using, but it can also extract data from other SQL databases as well. So if there's any other reporting that you were looking for to combine some of the sales information in Business One and some data from another system, as long as you have access to that SQL database, we'd be able to utilize that in some of the reporting. It is built, again, since we've been around Business One since 2004, it has been built by our consultants. So this is coming with a lot of Business One experience. Everything is geared to help, make the Business One functions a little bit easier, especially if you wanted to recreate some of those in more of a web-based environment, more simple entry. Content, anything that you see here that we show you today is all included with the purchase. So whether it's a replica of the sales portal, if it's a sales order or any other fields or information in Business One, anything that we show you is all inclusive. So we'll give you everything that we have as a baseline, and then if there are some small modifications, we could talk about how that works as well. So with that, with Business One, it could work on if you're using SQL or HANA. So all the standard fields of Business One, but it would also work with any of the fields of add-on solutions that you're using, or user-defined fields. So if there's anything custom, with your SAP database, we'd be able to access that data and utilize it here as well. And it's highly configurable in a sense, but it's easily configurable. So there's a lot of modifications that you're able to make to the system. It's not set in stone of this is, anything that you see today is not how you have to use it. It's just a baseline, a starting point, or some examples of how to get there. So with that, let's go ahead and get you started and show you the tool and what it can do.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Foster. I'm the product manager for Versago, and what we're going to do here is roll a couple of intro videos that'll get you grounded in what the tool is, and also give you a sense of the business problems that we see out in the market that sort of inspired us to bring Versago to the market. So let's start with that overview video and take it from there.
Versago enables any type of user across the business, internally and externally, to securely access and update information on SAP Business One using a web browser or mobile device. By providing users of all types a simple user interface for accessing or updating just the information they need in performing their jobs, Versago allows a business to better leverage its investment in Business One for the entire enterprise. No other portal or mobile app solution provides the level of flexibility that Versago does in accomplishing this. With Versago, a business can quickly and easily tailor which records or transactions on Business One users can interact with based on their role in the business or even their individual needs, and the possibilities are limitless. This configuration is accomplished using the Versago Administrative Console, but Third Wave also provides an extensive library of pre-built reports, web forms, and dashboards that are already integrated with Business One that help businesses get off the ground in hours, not days. Versago enables a business to apply elements of its brand, such as logo and color, to the user experience. It also enables posting and managing content like articles, events, and announcements, or banners for promotions, alerts, and notifications, which can be presented publicly to the user before logging in or targeted at users upon logging in based on their role. Other live information can be incorporated as well via web APIs to sources decided by the business hosting Versago. The Versago user interface is responsive, meaning it conforms to a web browser, tablet, or smartphone. This enables users to have access when they need it and from wherever they are. All of this, together with the role-specific interactions with Business One, makes Versago a robust platform for connecting employees, customers, and partners with each other and with SAP Business One.
Okay, so that gives you a good general sense of what Versago is all about, and particularly how it presents. And now I'm going to run another video here that again talks about the problems that we saw in the market, which inspired us to bring Versago to the market, and hopefully many of these will resonate with you.
Over the years, Third Wave has consulted hundreds of small and mid-sized businesses, not just in implementing SAP Business One, but on the variety of processes and work streams they have across their business and supply chain. In doing so, we have discovered common problems or opportunities businesses have with respect to human interaction with information in the daily processes that surround Business One and other systems. For example, information sharing between people outside of systems of record like Business One is often highly decentralized and not in lockstep with the information on Business One. Disparate systems, spreadsheets, database extracts, email, and other means are still used between people to gather input, gain approval, or provide insights. There is a need for information sharing to be centralized while integrated with systems of record. Most, if not all, the people in a business's ecosystem need to contribute to, access, or otherwise interact with information on core systems of record like Business One. But unlike trained B1 users, they only need simple interaction with certain information that is essential to the tasks and processes within their role. There is a need to affordably scale simple interactions with information on SAP Business One across a business's ecosystem. Also, it takes time to train people on complex software. Businesses need to lower training overhead and give users a simple user interface to interact with more information easily. While many small and mid-sized businesses perform similar activities, there's often wide variation in how they perform them and how people are engaged with the information, depending on the type of business, how they grew up, and other factors. If a business is to consider a portal, they need flexible configuration, not custom coding, to meet their unique and changing requirements. Information sharing and processing between stakeholders must usually be integrated with Business One, but sometimes not, and sometimes with other back-end systems, and sometimes all of the above. So businesses need integration options and flexibility. The Versago portal platform is designed to address all of these problems, setting it apart from any other portal choice in the market. To accomplish this in a single portal application, flexibility and speed of configuration must be at the heart of the product with respect to both user needs and integration with SAP Business One. Let's take a look at the Versago system layout. Versago is a standalone web application, not a Business One add-on. One Versago installation can interface with multiple backend databases, whether SAP Business One SQL or HANA, another SQL-based system, or systems providing a REST API. Users in any role, internal or external to the company, can access Versago via a desktop browser, tablet, or smartphone. Data available to end users is acquired via SQL queries configured in Versago. Versago can also call and present Crystal reports. When functioning as a portal to SAP Business One, Versago can access any data, including tables and fields associated with add-ons and user-defined fields. End users submit data securely via forms, like any website, which is stored initially in the Versago database. If that data is intended to be used for updates to a backend system such as SAP Business One, the BizWeaver integration and process automation tool is used. BizWeaver is included with Versago. Workflows created in BizWeaver can perform updates in near real time or on a scheduled basis and interfaces with SAP Business One via the DI server, DI API, or services layer. Versago includes an administrative console enabling configuration and formatting of data going to users into interactive reports, charts, and dashboards. It also enables configuration of interactive forms, and of course, the ability to create and manage roles, which define what users can do, user accounts, and data filters to control what information end users can see and make changes to. To help businesses get up and running quickly for their users, Versago ships with an extensive library of standard content, which are pre-built reports, forms, and BizWeaver workflows for accessing and updating the most common types of SAP Business One documents and records.
Okay, great. Thanks for watching those. By the way, any questions that you might have, please feel free to submit them at any time. We can keep the format flexible here if a question comes in, and we can take the time to answer it during the webinar as well as after the webinar. So what I thought I would do now is take you to a demonstration version of the Versago website and just give you an idea of some configurations at a persona level. These were borrowed from some of the things that our customers are doing with Versago. And we've put together quite a few of these. And by the way, we're happy to provide access to these examples after the webinar, anybody who's interested. Before I log in as one of these personas, I just want to point out that everything that you see here on this landing page is configurable, and as it pointed out in the video, there's an administrative console which we'll take a brief look at. There won't be enough time to get into detail about that today, but the admin console is where everything is created: reports, forms, dashboards, all of this, the theming, the branding, and this content as well. And so prior to logging in, this content is what we call public content. It's available for anybody to see. These are just a couple of examples of the types of content that you can post: news, articles, banners, as the video showed. To the right, you see API calls. This is sort of in its early stages, but we have some customers that are interested in making API calls out to external data sources and mashing that in with the portal content. But the real power of Versago is the ability to manage information within the processes of daily operations within companies, and that's what we'll take a look at here in a second. So what we'll do first is we'll pick one of these personas that we have. We've got a customer persona, and log in. And you'll see here that upon login, the content experience changed. It's role-based at this point. It's based on the role that this user is attached to in the admin console. So we have Mary, a user account that's set up. She's under a customer role. And within that role, there's role-specific banners. If you'll notice, an additional banner popped up here, and also role-specific content here in the middle of the screen. After logging in, all content for an end user is role-based. So I'll just show you some examples. Again, these are things that some of our customers have done that we've brought over. This is a report showing open invoices. And again, these are direct SQL queries right against the SAP Business One database. The admin console provides all the facility you need for either copying queries that you've already created and putting them in Versago, or creating them from Versago as well. As you can see here on this report, there's a line, everything here is configurable. The title of the report, this line of instruction. In this case, we have a report that has the ability to be submitted back to the database. We'll talk about that. We'll come back to that idea in a second. But a lot of flexible formatting around these reports, the column titles, the sort order, the grouping, the order of the columns. And we'll take a look also at some of the other interactive capabilities. I guess as long as we're on this one, I'll go ahead and this is an invoice report, so I'm going to go ahead and click on a link to an invoice, which is going to call the Crystal runtime engine, and then bring up an invoice report. The first call to the Crystal engine always takes a couple seconds, but so any Crystal reports that you've created and formatted and would like to be available via the portal, that can be configured very easily. Here we have an open orders with shipping status, header detail format. So again, the admin console gives you the ability to make the association between header records and their detail and present them as reports. In this case, one of our customers wanted to give their customers the ability to look at the quotes history, see the quotes details, the ability for them to review and enter service requests. Again, the video talked about this, but Versago is a responsive web application, so it formats nicely on phones or tablets, etc. And lots of the use cases that our customers are interested in happen to be mobile use cases. There are also some interesting internal use cases. We have customers that are getting returns, enabling their customers to submit return requests. This, by the way, interfaces with the fields associated with the third wave return request add-on, which you could get through the Support One relationship as well. The ability to view return requests, and some things about product activity. So this customer wanted a chart on their year-to-date products purchased from our Versago customer versus their purchases the prior year. Product registration history, the ability to register a product. You begin to get the idea that if the data exists in a back-end system, whether it's SAP Business One or another, Versago can be interfaced very easily to present that data, or permit updating, adding to or updating that data via the forms. There are also interactive links, which I'll show in a minute, from reports over to forms, so you can create kind of a fully integrated app sort of experience with Versago. We'll go ahead and we'll log in, and this is one of the more popular personas. If I can type here, I'm sorry. Take a look at the sales rep. So here we have, instead of news and announcements and banners, Versago can be configured to have whatever landing page you want. So in this case, it's a dashboard. This was created for some manufacturer reps who are out in the field and need to watch these various metrics about their customer accounts: order volumes, delivery volumes, invoice volumes, credit memo volumes. So they're really kind of all around relationship managers and needed this sort of information at their fingertips. But they can also go ahead and enter quotes. Again, header detail, information, no problem. This would be the sort of the header section that's laid out in the admin console, and the ability to add line item detail, ability to enter an order, enter an opportunity. They can take a look at their pipeline activity, different chart formats. enter leads or review the leads they've entered with contact information, enter new leads, take a look at their opportunities. Sales activity, they can look at open quotes here, in this case, open sales orders. And you get the idea. In the interest of time, I'm gonna move along here and show a couple of other examples. We're gonna take a look at an employee here. So in this case, the employee's been really just given the ability to do one thing, and that is to come in and submit purchase requests. So here we have a purchase request form configured for this user, and the ability for them to review any purchase requests that they've entered. They can look at the details of the requests they've entered, and they can make an update to the request. Now, an important and very powerful feature for Versago, as you saw in the videos, it has its own database. It's a standalone web application. So it makes it a great staging area in workflow and approval scenarios where users need to submit data, that data needs to be reviewed, maybe it needs to be sort of cook there for a while. In this case, this employee could come in and continue to make updates to their purchase request. And then at some point, they can designate this purchase request as being complete. And once it's complete, it will sit with that status in the purchase request table in the Versago database. And BizWeaver, which the video referred to, BizWeaver is the integration tool that picks up and moves data from Versago database over to Business One. BizWeaver will then, on a scheduled basis, is checking the Versago tables for purchase requests that are in a complete status. And then BizWeaver will pick up, move that information over into Business One, or I'm sorry, it will as in a complete status. And then I'm going to show you the other half of this demo. Now a purchasing manager, again, the data is still resident in the Versago database. I was thinking of a different example. Apologies. Now the purchasing manager can log in and they can see all of the purchase requests that are complete, review them, and then select the ones that they want to move over into Business One as approved purchase orders. There's a couple different ways. Here you see this multi-select report, which then they can go ahead and submit. They get a confirmation page, and they can submit those records for processing. They could have also come out to a different type of report where they can't select multiple, but they can go in at a purchase request level, review what the employee entered, move it from a pending to approved status, and now BizWeaver will poll the Versago database on a scheduled basis. It will look at the table of completed and approved purchase requests, pick them up and move them over to Business One. But when you think about that process and leveraging that local Versago database, that could be applied to a lot of different scenarios. It could be sales reps entering potential new business partners, but they need to go through an approval process before they get pushed over into Business One, or quotes or orders or any sort of information around the operation that may need to go through a staged process. Versago is actually perfect for that. So you can see here, this was a portal set up for a purchasing agent within one of our customer organizations. So they have a lot of the tools they need to do their job as well, accessing inventory, making inventory adjustments, and so forth. Take a look at one other persona here. In this case, an executive. Now, an executive probably more interested in just looking at performance metrics for the company or a part of the operation here. So here we have an executive, perhaps it's an owner, logging in, looking at a dashboard of sales activity year to date, plus forecasted as compared to last year, sales by item group this year, sales, top five customers in terms of sales volume, fill rates, maybe a gross profit analysis. This was actually borrowed from one of our customers. And their executives just want the ability to access these simple reports. They have other reporting tools in the organization, but there are some that are just go-to staples that are fairly straightforward that they want to be able to access remotely on the road, whatever day to day. Versago is a great tool for pulling those together. More sales performance, we looked at orders and delivery, rolling counts, on-time deliveries. These are grouped by customer, cycle times by customer group, back-ordered products. It's a little hard on the eyes, that one. Customer acquisition costs. So again, if the query exists, in many cases, our customers, these queries exist in their organization, so it's a simple matter of putting it in the report configuration in Versago. In some cases, it's not all that complex of a query just to create from the Versago admin console. The other thing I wanted to show quickly is just a quick sense of some of the things you can do, capabilities you can provide for end users. So we've got this sort of features, aggregated features list. So reports, any column in a report can be configured with what we call an action link. It's a hyperlink. So it could be a link to a file. In this case, it's a link over to another report. Close that tab. A link to an external website, a link to Crystal Reports, which we saw in the invoice example, a link over to a form. We'll click over to a form. In this case, a simple, very simple example. And a link to update a form. Now, in this case, this is one of the really nice interactive features of Versago, where if you're looking at a report and you want to link over and update that record, all the data can be carried over to that request to the form via a key field, which is designated using the admin console, which pre-populates the entire form, and then it becomes very easy for the user just to click through the form and make updates. We're a little short on time today, but there are a lot of very nice interactive features to forms in terms of auto-populating fields based on selections in other fields. Also, any report that you create in a Versago form actually can be used as a lookup list on a field. So if you have lots and lots of data, maybe it's items or maybe it's customers, it's a little inconvenient to just go to a drop-down menu for that. We have pop-up lookup reports that you can search, and then you can select, and any record that you select, you can bring along all these other hidden fields and pre-populate your form with that. So there's a lot of complex information that can be very easily simplified in terms of the end user experience to get that data entered back into the database and over into Business One. The other thing I just wanted to show very quickly is we have pre-built a pretty extensive library of what we call standard content. So these are reports and forms that reflect most of the record types, document types in SAP Business One. And so when Versago ships, 75–80% of the time what we've created is already applicable towards one of your use cases. And then it's just a matter of maybe cloning that piece of standard content, making a few modifications to it, and then deploying it for your own purposes. So I'm going to just quickly jump over and show you that this is a very pristine environment that we keep just for the purposes of continuously creating this content. Oops, sorry, maybe. Well, it looks as though the site isn't available at the moment, but but it is an extensive list of a lot of content to get you up and going very quickly. Very quickly, I'm going to switch over to the admin console and give you a sense of what that looks like. So the setup of most things in the admin console is a wizard process. So for example, creating a new report. So we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at a sample report. This, oh, by the way, here's another way of looking at our standard content. So this is what we call listing reports. So virtually every kind of record within Business One of any importance at all, we've already created the report for it, complete with the query. So if we take a look at this items listing report, and there's a query for it. Actually, in this case, the query is calling a view. But you have the ability to enter the query yourself. There's different ways you can source the data. A Business One saved query, you can call a stored proc, you can call a view, a crystal report, or you can just go into our SQL Select editor here and enter the query yourself, execute, look at the results. And that will now become the data that's available to the report wizard for formatting purposes. So I won't get into all the details here, but you can do things like categorize your reports for organizational purposes, decide what role the report's going to be assigned to. There are data filters that can be applied to roles. So you can filter on any column in the query that's coming back. So if you have and then you can also associate that column with the user account. So if you have a sales rep and they're looking at orders, you can set it up so that rep is only seeing the orders for their customer account as one example. So we'll just click through the report creation wizard here quickly. There's some delays here, but I have a feeling it's my local laptop today. I hear my disk drive spinning for some reason. So here with a report, you can set up parameters that are presented to the end user. So the user can actually have some filtering capability, or you can set up what we call a profile, which is that system filtering that happens before the report is returned to the end user. Here's where you're looking at the different columns in the report, and you have the ability to change the way it's displayed, the display order. Lots of interesting things like put totals at the bottoms of columns, or assign KPIs to columns, or create those action links that we talked about. You have the ability to take a report and convert it into a set of records that can be selected and resubmitted, and we saw that in the case of those purchase requests. You can attach what we call a sub-report or a child object. So in the case of presenting sales order report, you would show the header records, and then you can attach the sub-report with the details. And then you can assign the various action links. We're about to go live or release a new version of Versago that has actually made a lot of user-friendly improvements to the administrative console from a terminology and the way certain things flow. In some regards, it's a little bit technical, and we're trying to soften that and make it much more approachable and usable. But for the most part, it's very straightforward. Our customers are self-sufficient. Our partners are self-sufficient in creating things as well for customers. I won't get into the details of form creation, but there's a form designer. These are forms that have already been created. There's a drag and drop layout. All the fields have controls and parameters that determine their behavior, such as attaching lookup lists to them, as we saw earlier. Here's where you can create those promotional banners we saw on the home page, add news and announcements, and all the typical administrative capabilities: user creation, setting up roles, creating those data filters, setting up your database connections. Versago also provides the ability to make payments, either ACH, e-check payments, or credit card payments. And in the payment setup section is where you would set up your gateway credentials. We're already set up for authorized.net. So when that customer example, I don't think we have time to go back to it, where I showed the invoice report, that actually gave the customer the ability to select one or more invoices, edit the amount per invoice, and then submit those invoices for payment using a credit card or an e-check account. We have videos out on YouTube where that payment process is covered, and you can go out and take a look at those. And I believe Henry will be following up after the webinar with links to our YouTube videos. You saw when we logged in as a customer or an employee, the menu changed in the left navigation. So you have the ability to create custom menus. You can order or label items any way you want. Here's where you have control over the the logo and the theme color for the site. Email settings for things like password reset and password security settings as well. So that's just sort of a quick flyby of the admin console. And then the last thing that I wanted to cover is just to sort of give you an idea of some use cases, and that we're seeing customers use Versago for, and of course Murphy's Law. Let me just grab that PowerPoint from another location. This is actually the PowerPoint of the video we saw earlier. So customers are doing very interesting things. A lot of our customers are taking a look at wherever paper is moving is used as for communication internally or externally, wherever email is used, wherever spreadsheets are used, and they're eliminating those scenarios and replacing them with Versago. And of course, that's a lot of that sort of information movement, as the video pointed out, around SAP Business One, believe it or not, still occurs in paper, email, and spreadsheets in many companies. So we've got companies that had that dream of the paperless office long time ago, never really got around to it, weren't able to execute, and now Versago is giving them that opportunity to make headway there. But there are some other actually fairly strategic uses that our customers are putting Versago to use for. And the big attractor for them is, as Mike said earlier in the webinar, is they'll start off typically with one use case. Let's say it's to submit purchase orders or give their suppliers the ability to provide status updates on purchase orders. And once they start seeing all the different information movement capabilities, scenarios that Versago can handle in that single instance, they start adding on to it. So over 3 years, we have customers that have added use case after use case after use case incrementally. And the beautiful thing about that is they're not trying to boil the ocean with a big complicated portal implementation right out of the gate. That is very complex and takes them 4 or 5, 6 months. They'll start with a simple use case. They'll prove the value of the product. We've got customers that have told us that the product paid for itself within a week in terms of the sanity and the reduced cost that it brought internally around some old processes. And then little by little, they just start adding to that list and configuring new uses. So here we have an example of a supplier portal. This company are makers of handcrafted decorative works and jewelry. So with Versago, they've enabled their suppliers to review product orders that are coming in, indicate the ones that can be fulfilled with that multi-select report, indicate the ones that they can't fulfill right now, and add notes. And then BizWeaver sends the email notifications of those updates to the internal purchasing group. Then purchasing can log in. They can review and process the approved orders as shipments. And then BizWeaver will create the goods received purchase order from those instructions in the Versago table and update SAP Business One. So this is kind of their going out use case, and they've already lined up 3 or 4 more that they want to accomplish over the next couple of months. Here's one for a remote sales rep portal. So this is a company, they outsource sales, servicing, and warehousing for manufacturers. So in a sense, they're like a full service manufacturer's rep company. So most of their reps work out in the field or don't work on the main campus. So the reps can, with Versago, view, create, update opportunities and service calls. They can assign multiple bidders to an opportunity because they will get multiple vendors bidding on projects and they need to track that activity. They can add activities to partners, opportunities, service calls. They can add multiple topics to activities, so that helps them talk about the vendors that were discussed in a bidding call or a sales call. They can update win-loss status on multiple opportunities. And then BizWeaver updates SAP with all of the above and sends email notifications to the appropriate parties on various events. We have another company who is in the commercial telecom space, and they wanted to use Versago to enable their field technical reps. So those reps can view and add and update service calls. They can enter their T&E. They can enter any parts they order. We have signature capture in Versago as a control you can add to a form, so they're capturing signatures. Then BizWeaver will create the service tickets and the deliveries with expenses in SAP and sends a PDF invoice to the customer. The customer also has the option to log into Versago, look at those invoices and pay them. And it solved a huge problem in their company because this whole process used to be managed via email and spreadsheets, and they would lose data, there were inaccuracies, and it was costing them sales opportunities, or the lost orders, so it was hitting their revenue. So all the stakeholders that matter internally, purchasing, sales, service, can now look at all of this, the field tech service activity and the associated orders and expenses. Here's another customer. They're a blood diagnostic equipment company, and they're using Versago for kind of a unique production floor use case where, as they're assembling the blood diagnostic stuff in their lab technicians, they need the ability to include, to record different environment variables at a batch level. And what happens is over time, as they get defects, they want to correlate the defects reported by customers back to those batches and look at what the environment conditions were to see if they can correlate that to the quality issue. So that's had a huge impact from a quality improvement and customer sat perspective in their business. So those are just a few. There's many, many more. I mean, one of the great things about Versago is it can just be as creative as you are in its use. It can solve the problem. So we have customers doing a wide variety of different things with their customers, with their vendors and partners, and also internally. So with that, I'll take a break here and open it up for any questions.
Yeah, I had a few coming in here, so thanks for that, Mike. I'm going to go ahead and pull up a couple of these questions that came in, and we'll see if we can get you some answers, and then we'll turn things back over to Henry. The first one that came in was, could I provide the customers with just information and data without logging in? And am I able to allow them to download PDFs? So I think this is just having you can have some information on the homepage that's free before you log in.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, we do have any content that's created in Versago can be designated as public if you wish. And so customers can get to, we do have customers using that for general forms or, whatever process it may be with their customers.
A couple proprietary stuff, then they could wait until they log in to see other information. But some could be public, some could be private.
Exactly. And then as we saw in one of those report examples, file attachments can be put on reports. So yeah, they would be able to download PDFs. Sorry, I thought that question was going in a different direction. But I got
Sure. And the next one is just how is this installed?
Sure. So it requires an instance of IIS and also Windows Server and also SQL Server. And generally speaking, all of our customers will put it up in their cloud environment, and all of those things can be in the same Windows environment. It is a Windows technology stack. Technically speaking, it can go in the same servers as Business One, but I think most businesses like to keep that environment pristine. So it's a Windows application installation using IIS as well, and typically set up in its own environment.
And that installation itself is quick. That's an hour.
Yeah. We're usually installed in a matter of less than 30 minutes. It's very fast.
Okay. Form submission, can that be real time as opposed to being on a schedule?
Yes. Yeah. So there's 3 different ways to submit a form. So I didn't show this, but those action links on reports or a form submission can trigger a web services call to BizWeaver. So BizWeaver is always the mechanism that is moving data over to Business One or using the data in Versago to affect some change in Business One. And BizWeaver can be triggered immediately through a web services call. It can also be scheduled really down to the minute, or within 5 minutes, or on any other basis. So web services call is as close to real time as we get, but that's pretty close to real time.
And I think that's all the questions we have so far. If there are any other questions, you can feel free to email Henry direct, and he would reach out to us to help get you an answer. So I guess I'll turn things over to Henry for now.
All right. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone who attended. And if you have any questions, like Mike said, please feel free to reach out. I will send some follow-up information with some links that may help you. And if you have any questions, reach out. And thanks to everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.